Hey everyone, it's Gordon here. Came on here to show you guys some new baits and some stuff from StrikeKing jigs, mostly. A couple of the new Thunder Crickets. Um, they did come out with a tungsten Tour grade Thunder Cricket. That's awesome. Love it. The old Thunder Cricket still does the job, but I like the small profile of a tungsten Thunder Cricket. So we'll go over some of them. Got an array of jigs, old school, new school, how I like to rig them for different situations. Mainly want to go over some of the new stuff, the new compact stuff that StrikeKing has come out with. I absolutely love them. They're tungsten jigs. They're great. So you get that same, nice tick when you're bouncing off rocks instead of the thud from lead. Don't get me wrong, the lead ones still have their place. There's, StrikeKing has an array of lead jigs out there. But I'm really, really intrigued with the swim jigs and the new tour grade tungsten compact jig. Lot smaller profile. When you get those little bit finickier fish, it seems like you can adjust to them. You still, if you want to catch those ones that are very aggressive, it still does that job. But with the tungsten, you get that much smaller profile. So we'll go over some stuff. Here's some of the newer swim jigs on here. This one right here is a Greg Hackney. This is a heavy cover swim jig that he designed. These I've used for a while now. I love these. They got a nice, if you can look, they're nice and pointy, so they slide right through the grass real good. I rig these up a lot with like a minnow imitation, sometimes a craw. It depends on if I'm fishing rock or grass, on what I like to do. More so when I fish grass, I fish in more of a minnow style, even though I know crayfish live in both. But if I'm more around rocks, depending if it's like a shad lake or something like that, I'll go more of like a crayfish style. This particular color though, I would do more of like a minnow pattern because it's more of like a bluegill, like a perch feature to it. So this is a great color that I've found for here in our area up here in New England that is fantastic. And I've caught a lot of fish with this thing over the last year. And I'm not much of a swim jig fisherman. I just basically got into it about a year and a half ago. So this jig is phenomenal. The other one, like I said, with the compact series now, they've come out with, they have a nice compact jig. And I found this one very useful up at Champlain for smallmouth and largemouth. Especially when I'm having a little harder time getting them on a little bigger bait. This one here, as you can see, it's the same thing. This is more like a perch color, bluegill. I think this is actually bluegill. But I rigged this up. This I usually do with like a swim tail. Usually a StrikeKing Rage Swimmer or something like that on the back of this. I do like to use the bladed minnows too from StrikeKing. These are more for like the bladed jigs, but I really, really like these, especially doing this when sometimes a little less is more when you're rigging up a swim jig. And I'll take one of these, especially this color with this. As you can see, it goes together nicely. And instead of hooking it all the way on to where you got that much hanging off, I'll actually cut this like behind the head and I get basically that much hanging out, and I'll trim the skirt just a little bit. And that'll mimic those small perch in the beginning of the season when they're basically starting to spawn and stuff like that, and you get the little perch fries that are about this big all schooled up together. And then once they spawn, and probably late season, the perch become an inch or 2 inches long. That's where this jig comes in real handy, because it's got a very short shank hook on it. Still plenty wide enough to get those bigger bites, but as you can see, it's a very short shank compared to the original swim jig. So if you hold the two up like that, you can see right there the difference in length and size. So it's a big difference from the old school one where you're throwing this up in the trees and up in the wood and up on the shore and dragging it back out. This is more of that finesse style, if you want to throw a little lighter rod and go after those little bit more finicky fish. Now, will this thing work great for fish that are aggressive? Absolutely. Absolutely. I've seen this up at Champlain. This thing was magical for me, catching largemouth and smallmouth this year. like I said, the thing I like the most about it is the short compactness of it. So I can really dial it down and just have a nice small, nice small bait. So something like this right here, I would have it rigged up. It would literally basically stick out just the tail, so it looked like a little tail flopping, ever so slightly behind it. And these ones right here, the new compact ones, are tungsten. So, this size right here, this is a 3/8, and it's tiny. You know what I mean? You can put in a lot of work with this jig. So, swim jigs come in a bunch of colors. They have a ton of new colors on there for the compact series. Highly suggest you check these out. Another one I like for our area is this is another color right here. This is more of like a golden shiner type deal. Seeing as we have a lot of golden shiners in our area, I throw this color a lot besides the perch color. These are like my two main colors in our area. And you can see it's got a lot of gold, a lot of flash to it. And as I actually like to rig a Rage. I think this is a 3.5, 3.8, something like that. 3.75, that's what this is. So 3.75, I like to rig one of these up, normal. Flip it up, get the elastics out of the way, basically line up where I want it. I like it right there. I run it really high in the top of the bait because these are fat, and I don't want the hook to be blocked by any chances of it setting, being able to set through it. And then basically I push it on, nice straight presentation, whip that up into the grass, into the rocks, swim that thing around, and this is a largemouth magnet right here in our area. I've done very well with this. I've been very successful. As I can show you, the reason I can tell you I've done successful is when you have this many of them on hand ready to rock and roll. So this new compact jig series is phenomenal by StrikeKing. I highly suggest you guys check these out. So now we went over swim jigs. Bam, this is money. Perch one, money. These are my two favorite colors in our area. All this stuff is available at Ben's. You guys can go check them out. You know where Ben's is, up on Main Street in Leicester. Always around, open 7 days a week. You guys can get all this stuff. It's right there. I understand everybody can get it at their fingertips online, but let's help the little guy out. They're right there. So, swim jigs, we went over that. Next, we are going to go over StrikeKing has football head jigs. These are old school, but I will tell you this is a thin wire one that I buy. So what I like to do with these, the football head ones, is I like to cut the skirt very short, and I put on little craws and stuff like that for when I go to Thousand Islands. And I like to drag a football head jig around a lot in deeper water. Basically, all you do is get it out of ways, just get on a ledge, a drop off in a river, and just hold your rod tight and just let it do its thing, let it bounce. It'll get hung up. When it hangs up, don't try to jerk it out, just hold pressure on it. It'll probably pop out 9 times out of 10. And usually when it pops out, the smallies are right there. They've been following it the whole time, looking at it, and they'll attack it. This one right here is it's a tour grade football head jig. This one has a thin wire, like I said, so it's very good for those smallmouth and stuff. You're not trying to bury a big monster hook through, so if you want to run on a lighter rod, this is perfect. So you can get these in the 3/8, half ounce, 3/8, 3/4 ounce all the way up, and they all maintain that smaller hook, but they do have football head jigs with the bigger size hook for largey fishing and whatnot. I mainly buy these because I like these for smallmouth fishing, and I mainly do a lot of smallmouth fishing. So as it comes old school, these are lead. These ones right here, but it works perfect for up there. You're not breaking the bank because you lose a lot of jigs up there. If I go up Thousand Islands, I usually go up with 15, 20 jigs, knowing I'm going to lose them in the river, but you're going to catch the right fish on them. So these ones right here, the tour grade football head jigs by StrikeKing. Ton of colors, to your liking, your area. Everybody's area is different. I'm in New England. I pick perchy colors. I pick the traditional black and blue, everything that we like to use up here. The other thing I like to do is if I like to do like some real punching with a jig instead of a full out punching setup. Greg Hackney has the Hack Attack jig. These ones I use are 1 ounce. Big old monster jig, big old hook. As everybody knows how Greg Hackney is, Powell fisherman. These jigs right here, if you're flipping grass, you know, 8-10 foot, you know, flipping in heavy rod, 20-22 pound test line, and you know you're gonna lay into these fish. This jig right here has a monster hook on it. I think this particular one is a 5/0 on this particular size jig that I have, the 1 ounce. I mainly buy these in 1 ounce for what I like to do is for them. But Hack Attack, like I said, you can get these at Ben's as well. I think Dan's loading up really well for the show this year, so you're going to see a lot of StrikeKing products hopefully this year up at the show. The other jigs I like, old school, can't go wrong. You know, Denny Brower, come on, been around forever. If he puts his name on something, it's usually good. This jig right here, it's a pro model jig. It's got a rattle on it. I like them because of how the head is shaped. It's that archy style, so it you can kind of drag it over about anything without getting stuck. I use these a lot when I'm fishing around rocks and wood. It's like 4-wheel drive in a jig. It really is. These things work great. The eye is not this way, it's flat, so it's got a different eye on it, so it kind of bounces off things. It's more of like a shovel kind of when it goes through the water. I typically buy these in 2 colors for our area. If you want to know my 2 colors, I'm not afraid to share. This is it right here. That's it. You're looking at the 2 colors I love to throw. Those 1/2 ounce and 3/8 are the 2 sizes I throw this in mainly. And yeah, I just skip this around. It's I think this is a green pumpkin and watermelon. I think they're the only 2 colors I throw in our area. Check out those, the Hack Attack. I'm at the Denny Brower jigs. The other ones, they work great. I buy these specifically for Champlain. And everybody that knows Champlain, we all checked out the railroad bridges. We all fished the railroad bridges. We all have donated. I don't even want to talk about how many jigs I've donated on them railroad bridges. StrikeKing has the Bitsy Bug flipping jig. They sell it in a bunch of sizes. It's got the black hook on it, black nickel hook. It's great. It's not cheesy. Big wide gap on this thing. 4/0 gap on these ones I'm using. Buy these by the dozens. I mean, they're only like $3 a piece. Just so because you know up there, if you're gonna use them in the wood, you're probably gonna lose them. So you buy a bunch of them. They're a cheap jig. Throw a trailer on these. You know, I throw a rage craw on the back of this, and it's a magical bait up there. It doesn't break the bank. Take a look at these. The Bitsy Bug flipping jig right here. Very small, very compact. Do nothing jig. I buy black is the color I buy for Champlain. I mainly throw these on Champlain, but I buy tons of these. I buy them in bulk. That's because I know I'm going to lose them up there. And these right here, very magical on Champlain when you're fishing the pylons. And you can go through a ton of them without breaking the bank. So check out Bitsy Bug. Great jig. Been around forever. The other thing that's exciting for me is the whole line of the compact jig. So now I can throw 1/2 ounce jigs with basically a 1/4 ounce profile. StrikeKing has done that for us. So we have tour grade compact jigs. Look at these things. Beautiful size hook on them. I mean, you're talking, and they label them. Look at that right there. Bam. 1/2 ounce. Everyone has the weight right on it, so you're not guessing. Is this a 3/8? Is this a 1/4? Is this a 1/2 ounce? Or is this 3/4 ounce? Nope. It's right on it for you. Got a nice size hook. Plenty bulky enough. Good weed guard. Has the through eye like that, so your thread, your fishing line is protected a little bit when you're dragging it around. It has a nice stance on it when it stands on the bottom. I throw this in about a dozen different colors. It depends on the situation for some reason. It depends on the lake. In our area, I have probably about a dozen colors I like to throw this in, and I like to throw it in anything from 1/4 all the way up to 3/4 ounce. But I mainly stick with a 1/2 ounce, 3/8, 1/4 ounces in our area is plenty good. How I like to rig these is I'll put the razor shad away. So I like to rig these a bunch of different ways. My favorite way to rig these is on a Rage Scrounge Bug. These are a Rage Scrounge Bug right here. And I prefer, on this color jig, I prefer black with the blue flake on it. It's a darker jig. Still has that, like I said, half ounce with a crazy small profile. I mean, I'm gonna try to find something to compare it to. It's really tough. I mean, it's not, it's, let me see right here. So, an X-Acto razor knife. As you can see how tiny it is compared to one of them. Everybody knows what this is, like the size of a pencil around. So, very, very compact jig. Highly suggest you check these out. Like I said, StrikeKing has come a long ways with their jigs, and when it comes to the compact stuff. So what I like to do is, like normal, I measure it up. Sometimes I like the craw to hang way off, and then with being a compact, sometimes I like it to where the flappers are just barely hanging out of it like that. And with StrikeKing, they put little marks in it, so it's easier to adjust where you're. So if you find that you're catching your fish on that one, you bite it right there, bang, you're done. Bite it, you want it real short, right there, bang, you're done. So you don't have to be guessing, well, did I make it a little too long this time? Did I make it too short? Nope. You just go by the lines. All right, I took one line off of that one, and I've been catching fish on it. I'll take one line off the next one. So what I like to do with that, same thing. Take the claws, spread them out. I prefer these. Sometimes I will go with a bigger style craw type on there. Sometimes they like the big flappers on it. And now I'll do a rage craw, and I'll do a 4-inch rage craw at that. I just cut it down to the size that I want to fit the profile I want. So pretty much this one's real simple. You line it up, and you can use the lines on the bait to help you with your hook placement. So you line it up, you say, all right, I'm at the 4th line, and you watch. Every time it'll come out dead perfect. So you just go down, I go to the 4th line, yep, that's right, scoop it out, put it on the thing, and look at it. Dead perfect every time. No bend in it, straight alignment. That's the nice thing about the Rage Scrounge Bug, is it has all the lines in it. The same with the Rage Craw, and all these rubber baits that you can really line up and get exact what you want every time. This bait is going to hit the bottom. It's going to stand just like this. Those little flappers are going to flap up there with the natural current, and it's going to make them fish very aggravated. The other nice thing you can do with this particular jig is you can use this you can swim it through the grass. I mean, it has that angle on it, so when you're swimming it, it'll swim just like this through the grass, and you can hop it. You can hop it and go down and so forth. I use this a bunch of different ways. When I swim through the grass, though, I tend to swim with a lot lighter one. Some guys like to swim with a lot heavier, but they give you those choices. So I'll show you the difference in size. So that was a half. So we'll go to a 3/8. So I'll give you the 3 different sizes I throw, and I'll do all the way down to the 1/4, which is great when you're super finesse fishing and you want to go real light and real slow. So as you can see, like I said, they mark every one so you know the size. 1/4 ounce on this, 3/8 on that, so you know exactly what you got. So let me do like this, and you can see the three musketeers right there, and you get the best out of everything. So that's your 3 sizes. Like I said, the 1/4, very small, very supple, little jig. Throw that on some light line when fish are real tough. Drag it real slow. You can go through about anything with it, and it still provides a very good size hook on there, so you can penetrate those fish without it bending. That's the problem with a lot of compact jigs, is they come with a really weak wire hook, and a lot of times they end up bending the hook, and you end up losing the fish anyways after you work so hard to get those fish to bite. So yeah, I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about jigs and StrikeKing and what they've come out with for us as fishermen to improve our ability to catch these fish, especially these tough ones. Hopefully I can use some of these techniques in the next upcoming couple of weeks with the colder water, and fish are going to get a little finickier. I'll make some more videos of that. Hopefully I can get on a really good bite and be able to show you it in action. Should be able to. Let me put this away. And then we're going to go to one of my favorite things nowadays, and everybody else's favorite thing is chatterbaits. And StrikeKing come out with the Thunder Cricket a few years ago now, and it became very magical. It has its own place. It's got a totally different action than a jackhammer. It's more of a hunting action than a vibrating action, but it has a heck of a vibration to it. But the difference between the two, and I've noticed the two, and I'm not knocking any other brand, is that this one hunts a lot more. So what I mean by hunting is when it goes through the water, it just doesn't do this the whole time. It'll dart like an injured fish or a scared fish, and with that particular blade, sometimes that creates a crazy reaction strike. So what they've done is they have a traditional jackhammer, a thunder cricket, as you can see. There's a traditional one made out of lead. One of my favorite colors, like I said, with the swim jig, golden shiner. The nice thing about StrikeKing is most of their colors go across the whole line of jigs. You know, thunder crickets, swim jigs, everything. Spinner baits, they have that, and they have the same colors in spinner baits. So it goes across. So you have that, but then last year or so, they came out with the tungsten Tour grade thunder cricket. So you get same hunting action, but now you get the smaller profile, where a lot of guys love the small profile. And it hunts the same, it does a lot of the same things. Just now it's tungsten, a lot more smaller profile, so you can run a bigger jig, less bulk. And they make them in a bunch of sizes. I preferably run, like this one's 3/8, and I run quarter. Quarter ounce I tend to run when I'm running really shallow for like smallmouth, stuff like that up north. Like this is a quarter, and I run it in chartreuse, especially on Thousand Islands. I love running chartreuse chatterbait up there. It works great for me. It might not work for some others, but you got to find what works best for you in your particular situation. Again, like I said, all this stuff is available at Ben's Tackle Shack. You guys can check them out. If he doesn't have it, you can get it right on StrikeKing's website. If you have any questions, reach out to us. We can get it for you. If you can't get it, no big deal. Takes a week or so for it to come in. We're more than happy to help you guys out and make sure you get all the baits you guys need. But that is the summary of the new compact jigs for StrikeKing. Hope to see you guys at the expo this year. It's going to be a ton of StrikeKing stuff there. Come on over to the booth, check us out. Ton of new Lose stuff. Lose revamped a lot of things this year. A lot of new reels on the market, some combos. You got to check it out. They've come full circle for us fishermen. Us bass guys are totally set up now. So hope to see you guys there. Have a good one.